I have always known that the world is full of all kinds of people. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Humanity is like a rainbow, but we must remember that not everyone fits into a single color. Rather, there are shades of different colors that shape each person. But not Henry Dundas. No, he's just black. Blacker than black, and no, I'm not talking about the color of his skin, because he's white. Heinrich is a narcissistic psychopath, and he was out to destroy my life. To get to this story, I need to give a little background. My name is John Pounder, and I'm 45 years old. And before you start making fun of my last name, know that I've heard it all before. I'm a fairly tall guy, over 6 feet, slim because I focus on exercise 4 days a week, which at my age is necessary to keep things running smoothly and hopefully for a long time to come. As for my place of residence, of course, in the great state of Virginia, I was described as sweet, handsome, and sometimes just not bad. I have fairly thick, dark brown hair, and I prefer it shaved. That's how I like it. Some people say it accentuates my jawline, but I just hate beards. I have a well-paying job, but once a month I have to travel to Richmond for a few days for boring meetings at the main office. Well, enough about me. Almost, though. You see, I'm married to the lovely Ashley. She is 44 years old, and she is my second wife. We have been married for 6 years. Ashley is a beautiful blonde with a perfectly athletic figure who came into my life a couple of years after the end of my first marriage. We have no children together, but she has a daughter, Jacqueline, whom I adopted when she was little, and I have 3 children with my first wife, Jennifer. The eldest, Victoria, is 20, Jacob is 18, and then my youngest, Danny, is 15 and has Down syndrome. He is a special friend of mine and enjoys spending time with Jacqueline, who is only 12. It's worth mentioning that I have a great relationship with my ex-wife because of the kids and Ashley, who has been incredibly supportive throughout. It also helps that Ashley and Jennifer get along, even though they are quite different in personality. Ashley was married to a loser named Christian Baudinger, who ran off to Colombia with his mistress more than 9 years ago. Now that you know all this, I can tell you about the events that led to all this bursting into my life. Ashley, my wife, walked into the kitchen where I was sitting with a big smile on her face. That smile told me she was up to something. I knew this too well. "Someone is happy today," I said, looking at my wife. When she came into my life, she was different from Jen, in the sense that while Jen always dressed modestly but beautifully, Ashley was sexy. She wore tight clothes that showed off her figure, especially her butt, which is gorgeous. Ashley often wore yoga pants at home and sometimes went out wearing them outside if she didn't have the right jeans or trousers, which, by the way, happened quite often. "Yes, and do you know why?" Ashley asked almost too cheerfully. I shook my head, waiting for him to continue. "I was asked to become a co-author of a book, which I am sure will become a bestseller." Ashley was a professor of philosophy and art at the local university, an institution whose employees were expected to bring money and prestige. This meant that anything that could get their employees into the press or gain recognition was actively supported. I also knew that this meant a nice bonus for Ashley. Not that we needed it, considering the boat on the lake was still in good condition and the lake house was fine. Although she didn't own it, Ashley enjoyed contributing to our vacation spot. "I see. Who is the second author?" I asked, peering at her. I noticed a brief moment of hesitation before her smile bloomed again. "It will be Henry Dundas," Ashley answered, not taking her eyes off me. I suddenly felt sick. "Do you mean the same Henry Dundas with whom you were associated before, Christian? The same Henry Dundas who tried to break up your marriage to him? The same Henry Dundas you told me scary stories about?" I asked, feeling how everything inside me was shrinking. Her smile faded. "Not like that, John. He's married now and has kids and will be working remotely. He's in California, damn it," Ashley replied, getting a little defensive. "Are you serious? That bastard almost ruined your last marriage before Christian ran off with that chick. What do you think will happen this time?" I asked, sharply increasing my tone. "The board convinced me to go for it. I can't refuse. Do you think I don't know what he is like? I will be fired forever if I turn down this opportunity. The board is aware of his high profile, and they want this attention for the university, Ashley said, her tone indicating that she was aware of the stakes. I understand that, but don't you think you should have talked to me first? I asked with a sigh. I knew how difficult it was for her at university, even with greater gender equality on the board. They still seemed one-sided in their approach, not thinking about anything other than their prestige. I know, and I'm sorry. I didn't have much time. It just hit me suddenly, Ashley replied, sounding depressed. It's better for him not to bother you at all. And it really should be removed, as you say, I said, standing up. He's dangerous, and you know it. I know, but I have you, and everything will be okay, I promise, Ashley said, coming up to me and hugging me. Okay. She was almost as tall as me, and although she was slim to the point of being thin, she could still give a good hug. Okay, but at the first sign of something wrong, you tell me, okay? I said, allowing my hands to slide to her small but firm butt. Her gym sessions and doubling up on her squats have really paid off. I promise, Ashley said, kissing me on the lips. I love you. I love you too. 6 months. I never thought that writing a book on philosophy could take so much time. Ashley was stoic, but there were days when she came home frustrated and took her frustration out on how Heinrich rewrote parts of her that she thought were important and fit well with the overall strategy of the book. I simply listened, comforted her, and supported her in these moments. Things got better as they neared the end of their work, and I couldn't be happier as we were able to spend more time together. We were at lunch with friends when it all happened. It was a posh place where the toilets were on the opposite side of the building. I had to use the toilet, which was also luxurious. I finished and left this wonderful room when everything changed. As I was leaving, a man who was slightly familiar to me smiled at me. I was surprised to realize it was Henry Dundas, and he was in Virginia. He was a couple of inches shorter than me, about 50, balding with long gray hair on the sides and almost no hair on top. You could call his hairstyle artistic rather than outstanding, but what do I know? He had a well-groomed beard that looked a little questionable, and he was wearing an expensive suit. I was about to head towards my wife when he stopped me and handed me a large yellow envelope. I looked at him, then at him, and was confused. We had never spoken to each other, so this was completely new to me, and I wondered why he felt the need to confront me in this way. I didn't have to wait long to find out. I'll tell you what I told Christian all those years ago. Ashley is mine. You think you have it, but I own it, Heinrich said with a wicked smile. I felt anger rising within me, but I controlled myself. I knew this guy was trying to piss me off, so I stayed calm. I understand, but what about this envelope? I asked, waving it in front of him. Open it, Heinrich replied, still smiling. That should tell you everything about Ashley and me. We've been meeting in person for some time now. I looked at him sharply as new information surfaced. I opened the envelope and pulled out a large 10x8 glossy photograph of my wife having sex with him. He brazenly looked straight into the camera and smiled. You son of a bitch, I said, but he just shook his head. I don't think you want to make a scene here. Not when I can trumpet all the letters and texts between us. Stop pretending to be a man and accept that I won. Have you ever been hit on the tip of your nose? It hurts like hell and bleeds like a broken dam. I did this to Heinrich, and he went down like a sack of shit. I thought about kicking him a couple of times, but decided I didn't want to end up in jail. I stuffed the photo back into the envelope and looked down at the pathetic little coward. Stay away from me, okay? Come again and your nose won't be the only thing you have to worry about, I said with an ominous growl. He just cringed and nodded as I walked back into the hall and looked for my soon-to-be ex-wife. She saw my gaze and immediately realized that something was wrong. She stood up and approached me with a worried look. Everything is fine? Ashley asked. But I just looked at her, not believing that she could do this to me, cheating for the second time in my life. No, pack your things and let's go, I answered angrily. She began to worry and quickly grabbed her bag, said goodbye, and hurried after me to the car. I had already left the restaurant when she caught up with me and started asking a million questions. I just got into the car, started the engine, and drove home. "John, what's going on?" Ashley asked worriedly as her door closed. Perhaps it's time to answer her. "Henry bloody Dundas," I replied, causing her to scream. "Heinrich?" "Yes, the same bastard you had sex with," I said bluntly. "John, I never," Ashley began, but I dropped the envelope into her lap. She looked at it like it was poison before opening it and taking out the photo. She screamed and cried and threw her into the back seat. "I'm sorry, this shouldn't have happened." "How long?" I asked when we finally turned towards our house. "What? How many damn times?" I asked, accelerating towards our house and stopping abruptly in the driveway. "How many times has this idiot?" She was sobbing uncontrollably and shaking her head. "One time, just one," Ashley said between sobs. "You know what my ex-wife did, and I was very clear about it. You said it would never happen again, didn't you? Now this." "You're stupid, you know," I said, getting out of the car and heading into the house. Almost 10 minutes passed before she came in to find me packing my bags. I was already thinking about how this would affect Jacqueline and my other children. Damn, why did she do this to us? "Please don't go, I'm sorry. Please, we can get through this," Ashley said, almost pleading. "I screwed up. I know I'm stupid. Ashley, please. If you have any love left for me, just shut up and let me go." "I need to clear my head," I said, trying to keep everything under control. "Where will you go?" Ashley asked, still trying to calm down. "You're not going to go after Heinrich, are you? Don't harm him." I turned around sharply to look at her. "You can't be serious? Are you more worried about him than me? What happened to you?" I asked, zipping up my suitcase and then dragging it from our bedroom to our home office. I needed to grab a couple more things before I left. "It's my fault. I let him dominate me, and I don't want you to go to jail. He's not worth it," Ashley said, following me into my home office as I grabbed my laptop and a couple of chargers and tossed them into my work bag. "I know he's not worth it." "Said he owns you? So he owns you, Ashley?" I asked, leaving the office with bags in my hands and heading toward the living room. "I mean, what does he have that I don't? Is this his bald spot? Beer belly? What?" No, nothing. He just has power over me. I don't know, I can't stop it," Ashley replied, crying again. "You could have just walked away, but no. You were supposed to be a big feminist, speaking out woman, and show the world that you can handle it. When in reality, you're just a confused little girl who can't think for herself. Do you have any idea what this will do to Jacqueline, or with Danny, or with me? Or were you only thinking about yourself?" "I didn't think so," Ashley exclaimed, shouting it out loud. "It just happened." "Which part? The first time you had fun or when you both took a photo?" I asked, hinting at the evidence that the bastard provided me with. "It was supposed to be just for us." "How could he do this?" Ashley asked, almost hysterical. I had to wonder if she was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. I was struggling to control my pent-up anger, but she seemed almost catatonic. "You're so confused. How could you do this? I just do not understand. I need to go away and clear my thoughts without you. You have to understand, we won't be able to survive after this. We won't be able to. I cannot. You betrayed me in the worst possible way with that slimy brat Heinrich," I said, spilling the last words. "Please stay." Ashley was sobbing now. "Go to your parents. Tell them what happened." "I'll call you in a few days," I said, taking my things and leaving. I got into the car, realizing she had left photographic evidence in the back seat, and then laughed to myself. It was some kind of joke, yes. I drove out, looking at the house where I once lived with my wife. Damn life. I called my ex-wife to let her know that I would be away for a few days, and that I would call before I arrived to see Danny. She understood, felt that something was wrong. She could always tell by my voice. I brushed it off as something work-related and headed towards the lake house to think. I needed to reevaluate my life. I was a mess for 2 days. Of course, it was nice to be near the water and enjoy the silence, but my insides were a mess. I took a leave of absence from work to avoid being there while I contacted the lawyers. My boss was understanding and always ready to help with conversation. Marianne Summerson was a good person, as they say, strict when necessary, but understanding, if you did things right. I was sitting there gathering all the information for my lawyer, Maurice Granger, when I opened my browser, and he immediately logged into Ashley's social media account. I didn't use social media much, but this was the chat section she used so often with her friends. It was like a thrilling novel when I looked through her chats with Heinrich. It started off professionally, discussing the book and such. Then, after a month, he started pressuring her, and after a few more weeks, she reciprocated. I think this went on longer than Ashley said. All these messages and emails that went on for months. Some things were explicit, but it was also exhausting. I copied the whole thing into an app to send to my lawyer, who was going to use it like a hot knife through butter. I had read enough to know that there was definitely something between them that she couldn't fight. No, I had no intention of taking her back, but I was disappointed in how easily he seemed to seduce her. It was also clear that they had sex more than once, but he only photographed them once. Ashley admitted only what was proven, nothing more, and I easily found all her correspondence with this bastard. I had to wonder if she wanted to get caught. I was about to close my browser when I saw something in their last conversations, before the bastard tricked me with the photo. Part of the conversation said, Ashley, I'll kill myself if he ever finds out. Heinrich, no one will ever take you from me again. Who cares if he finds out? You belong to me. Ashley, no, I don't belong to you. I think we need to stop. This isn't healthy for me. The book is finished and so are we. It hit me like a bolt from the blue. Ashley ended it with Heinrich, and he wanted maximum destruction. Now it was all starting to add up as to why he showed up at the dinner. I simply sent a letter to Maurice and sat back when there was a noise at the entrance to the lake house. I stood up to check what was going on when I saw her. My daughter, Victoria. I forgot that she has a key to my house and the lake house. She is almost a complete copy of her mother. She is the same height as her mother, 5 feet 7 inches, with the same shoulder-length medium brown hair and the same smile. That damn smile that warms my heart. Hi, Dad, Victoria said sweetly. I knew why she was there, and I could see that she was trying to be brave, but it was still nice to see her. Hi, dear. How are you? I asked, trying to look equally courageous. Okay, I guess. We all miss you, especially Danny, Victoria replied, making me feel even worse. Oh, I know. Things are a little different now, I said, causing Victoria to nod and move closer to me. I know Ashley told me, that's why I'm here, Victoria said politely but firmly. My head was spinning, trying to figure out why my soon-to-be ex-wife would do this, when Victoria responded to my inner monologue. She wants us to support you. She knows she can't change what she did, but she hopes that one day you can forgive her. Did she tell you everything? I asked, sitting down as my legs were feeling a little wobbly. I think so. She cheated on you, right? Victoria answered, sitting down next to me. More than once, I said, making Victoria cringe. The same guy? Yes, I said, closing my eyes. Then Victoria hugged me and kissed me on the cheek. Everything will be okay. We all love you and want you to come home, Victoria said, which for some reason made me cry. I'm ashamed to admit that I was an inconsolable screamer for a while, but my daughter just held me while I let out all the pent-up emotions of the last few days. Victoria was there to support me in a way that a daughter shouldn't. Great pride filled me when she looked into my eyes and smiled. It was a sympathetic smile that warmed my heart. Thank you, I said quietly, returning to the house to freshen up. The cold water when I washed my face seemed to work, and for the first time since everything had happened, I felt clear-headed. I returned to the living room where Victoria was waiting for me on the sofa. And what are you going to do? Victoria asked, seemingly worried. I have already contacted a lawyer and sent all the documents, all the evidence I found, too, and I have instructed a lawyer to file for divorce as soon as possible, I said with a sigh. Okay, said Victoria, who now seemed relieved. So, what is next? That was a good question. Don't know. Back to work next week. Go through the process, I guess. I replied matter-of-factly. "Come to me. Live with us. It will be good for you," Victoria suggested, peering at me. It was almost as if she wanted me to bend to her will. Of all our children, she was the most affected by our divorce. Danny was upset, and so was Jacob, but Victoria always wanted us to be together. She was the main catalyst for why Jen and I got along so well after our divorce. "Vic, I don't know. Jen won't want to," I began, but she interrupted me. "She will want it. We want everything. We want you to be home. Please," Victoria said, and I saw tears accumulating in her eyes. I know people might call her selfish, but I truly believe she wanted me around to look out for me. "And where will I sleep? On the couch? You know this won't work long term," I said, trying to make her understand. "No, you can sleep in my bed." "I'll sleep with my mother," Victoria said proudly. "Looks like she's thought of everything." "Victoria." "Daddy, please, I need you to be home with me," Victoria said, sitting on my lap like she did when she was little. It took me back to those happy times. I felt her hair, stroked her back, and then kissed her temple. She pressed herself close to me, almost as if trying to make sure I didn't leave. As I reflected on my life over the last few days, I began to wonder how nice it would be to be around my children again. It wasn't a difficult decision. "Okay, honey, okay," I said, causing her to look up at me with her big, beautiful eyes. Her mother had the same beautiful brown eyes. "Thank you, Dad," Victoria said, kissing me on the cheek and then hugging me with all her heart. We finally got ready. I grabbed my things and drove to Jennifer's house, following Victoria in her car. There was still a lot to sort out, but I knew it would be nice to be back in real life. My boy Danny rushed towards me as I got out of the car. His presence, enthusiasm, and loving hug pushed all the nonsense with Ashley into the background. He was shorter than me, but he always smiled and laughed when I was around. Holding me by the waist, he led me into Jennifer's house while Victoria followed with my bags. Jacob was probably with friends, as usual, or working. I wasn't sure, but I'll see him later. It was good to be home, so to speak, and when I saw her, I froze. Jennifer stood there with a worried smile on her face. Always dressed in cute dresses or skirts, she was my standard of beauty. Her style was usually casual smart, when not at work, often wearing a polo with a skirt if she had the right combination. But I always liked it when she wore a dress. Jen is slim with round hips, beautiful legs, a great ass, and her latest acquisition was a big pair of breasts. Not that there was anything wrong before, but now they were supercharged. The dress she wore was loose but hugged her waist, showing off her hourglass figure. "Hey, Jen," I said, which made her finally come to me. She hugged me while Danny was next to me. "Hi, John," Jennifer said in a sweet voice. "Okay, yes, it was nice to hug my ex-wife. I don't know anyone who could say the same, but at that moment it was incredible, and I think she felt it too. As she pulled back, there was a mixture of emotions on her face before she found the strength to speak. "Victoria's room is yours. You know the way, and I made a roast," Jennifer said, as if it was just another day at the Pounder house. Yes, she never changed. Not that it mattered. Ashley never took my last name and said it was because of her job. I didn't care, but I started to wonder if it was because of Heinrich. "Thank you, Jen. I'll stay a day or two until I find another place to live." "I don't want to be a burden," I said, earning disapproving looks from both kids while Jennifer simply smiled and nodded. "Okay, come down when you're ready," Jennifer said warmly. I could tell she wanted to say something else, but she didn't press. Yes, I could still read it. Like I said before, we got along, we worked it out, and we did it for the kids. But we haven't talked about our divorce in a long time. I think we both felt it was too painful, even if there were things left unsaid at the time. I settled in and spent the night with my family, reminiscing about old times and enjoying the company. Danny did not leave my side until the night, and I could not refuse him this. I missed him a lot, not that I didn't miss the others, but he was my buddy and we did a lot of things together. Perhaps I was more dependent on him than he was on me, but I wasn't going to discuss that just yet. I was going to enjoy it as much as I could. All of them, as much as it distracted me from my lousy life. It was a strange time. Ashley moved out, and I moved back to what had been our home. I went back to work and tried to do everything I could to be productive. I received 2 letters that only added grief and sadness to my situation. The first was from Heinrich, that bastard, and all he did was tell me how good he was, how much better he was than me, and that I should give up my manhood, or something like that. Almost like he believed he had the right to tell me what kind of person to be, when it was clear that he had no idea what it meant to be himself. He also told me that he had been staying in Norfolk and that it was easy for him to return to Ashley's bed. Enclosed was another photo of them together. Okay, I was angry. Angry that I felt limited by the law regarding the retribution. I could pay the bastard, and I didn't know what to do. This was the second letter that I could not understand. It was from Ashley. It read, "My dear John, words cannot express how much I am sorry for the pain caused. I fell for his lies and fell under his spell. He told me that he was divorced, that his ex-wife had cheated on him, and this evoked my sympathy. He was in pain, just like you once were. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I did, and I will forever regret what I did. Just know that Heinrich and I will be the last of your problems ahead. Remember, Jacqueline needs you, and I wouldn't want anything I did to cause a rift between you two. You are the best father she can have, and she will need you now. I won't fight for a divorce, and you can even keep the house, especially for Jacqueline. I deeply regret and feel ashamed. I know this won't help, but please know that I love you and always will. It works." I was so angry that I didn't really process the letter properly. I wanted maximum retribution, but she was not going to resist. What was it? I wanted to fight, damn it. Ashley received divorce papers and moved in with her parents. They, of course, were upset and knew the whole story with Henry Dundas. They told me they couldn't believe she was seeing him again, given how devastating his last intrusion into her life had been. They were going to do everything they could to help her, and were going to send her to therapy, especially Jacqueline, as we wanted to minimize the feeling of abandonment for her. She may not remember her biological father, but she still asked questions that we tried to answer. Now, it will be more difficult. I took the time to see Jacqueline and meet, getting permission to bring her to Danny and the others. It was during one of these visits to Jen's house, a week after Ashley's letter, that I received the call. I don't think anyone knows how much emotion goes through you when you're in the middle of something like that. Shock, grief, loss, anger, humiliation, sadness, and a whole host of others. It's strange knowing how angry I was at her for deceiving me, but when I got a call from the hospital saying that she had been in an accident and I needed to hurry, I felt even more emotions on the way there. Part of me didn't want to lose her, and I fought with anger as a huge amount of guilt washed over me. Guilt from realizing all the negative thoughts I had about the person I loved. It felt like someone else was driving the car as I raced to the emergency room. I don't even remember asking Jennifer to come with me, but she was by my side when we arrived at the ER. We held Ashley's hands as she faded away, and Jennifer hugged me tightly as we were escorted from the room. Ashley's parents, Ray and Carla, were unable to arrive in time and were obviously devastated by the entire incident. Everything was an emotional fog, but somehow we got through it. The police asked us questions and then informed us that Ashley was traveling with another man, Henry Dundas, and he was driving. It looks like he drove them off a cliff and crashed the car into a large tree. He died on the spot, and she was taken to the hospital. Apparently, her injuries were too severe, and she died. When I got home, I was still in shock, but Jen and Victoria took the lead. They helped me arrange a funeral with Ashley's parents, and while that was happening, it hit me. This bastard did it. That bloody Henry Dundas killed her because she was leaving him. There was no way to make him pay now. However, I decided to tell the police about the chat logs that indicated Heinrich's threat that he wouldn't let her leave, which probably wouldn't have done much but would have helped the motive. Henry was now like an untouchable criminal, and we all had to live with it. Jacqueline was now with me full-time. Ray and Carla helped as much as they could. Although Jacqueline was greatly affected by her mother's death, I made sure we continued therapy sessions to help her cope. and she seemed to be coping well. For me, I also continued therapy, struggling for answers to why Ashley did this. All the therapy sessions revealed was that I was now constantly angry, and that Heinrich was a manipulative bastard who would do anything to achieve his goals. It wasn't until my last session 2 days ago that I realized what was really bothering me. It had to do with Jennifer and how our divorce affected me. I felt guilty for ending things so quickly, but in the end, Jennifer took all the blame by allowing herself to be in that situation and facing the consequences. But for me, it was about how I had to support her because deep down, I still loved this woman. I never stopped loving her, and maybe Ashley sensed that and used it as an excuse for her flirtation with Heinrich. Ashley admitted in her correspondence with Henry that she loved him, always had since she was young, but at that time she was with me and loved me too. It seemed like it was something else, a bit like how I felt about Jen's mistake, and Heinrich played on Ashley's feelings, which made her give in. With all these realizations in mind, I asked Victoria and Jacob a big favor. It was asking them to take care of Jacqueline while I cooked Jen's dinner at home and buried the hatchet. It's worth noting that Jennifer has been incredibly supportive of me over the past 3 months. She accepted Jacqueline as one of her own, as did Victoria, and was a huge support to my youngest. I began to realize that I enjoyed spending time with my ex-wife and that it was enjoyable when we were together. That's why this evening was so difficult for me. This illuminated my behavior many years ago, and I needed to correct it, even if some people think I don't need to. But I need it. That's how I'm built. I need to fix everything, or at least get close to it. Dinner was wonderful. Jen was attentive and talkative while I was serving, and later while we were eating. It was like old times, and I let this distraction take over my thoughts, considering I knew what was coming next. I think she felt it too, but was polite enough not to say anything. After dinner, we sat in the living room, and although I felt my nerves getting the better of me, I knew it was time to take action. Looking at Jen, I could tell that she, too, knew it was time. "I want to thank you for coming tonight," I said, taking a deep breath. I saw the concern on her face, reminiscent of the time we got divorced. I think she was afraid that I was going to ask her to leave for good this time. "As you know, I've been going to therapy, and I'd like to clear things up between us." Her face changed from surprise to curiosity. "About what?" Jennifer asked softly. "About us, about our divorce, about everything that happened," I answered. Everything that happened to Ashley gave me a keen understanding of our past, how poorly I handled the situation. She interrupted me, not allowing me to continue. "You didn't do a bad job? I did a bad job," Jennifer said, but I took her hand to get her attention. "Jen, it's okay. I just wanted to apologize to you," I said, earning her a questioning look. "Apologize for what?" Jennifer was sincerely surprised. "You didn't do anything wrong. It was me." She started to get upset, but I held her hand, and at least she didn't pull it away. I felt sad, too. I could feel it from her, and I didn't like seeing Jen in pain. Not now, when I had a clear mind and a pure heart. "You didn't deserve what I did. I know we shared everything amicably and worked together for the sake of our children, but—" I looked at her with tears rolling down. "Yes, I'm still ashamed that I cried again. You immediately came to me and told me what happened. You were devastated, but you took the blame. Ashley didn't do this. She deceived me and had no intention of telling me at all. Time has given me a new perspective. I did it, but it also made me realize what I really want in life," Jennifer said warmly. "I'm so sorry, Jen. I really am." "I know I went too far then," I said, but she interrupted me by touching my lips with her fingers. "No, everything is okay. I deserve it. I messed up and I've been trying to fix it ever since," Jennifer said with a smile. "No, you don't deserve this. We should have talked more. We should have gone to counseling." "I should never have left," I said, forcing myself to stop and think. I looked at her, and her lip was trembling, although she tried to maintain a smile. "It was one night, a drunken mistake, and you were deceived by a colleague. This is all because of me." No, that's not true. Please, we make mistakes, but that is in the past, and we need to move on." I said then that I would do whatever it takes, and I say it again now, Jennifer said firmly but sweetly. I never stopped loving you. I know. Is that why you didn't date someone else? I asked, to which she nodded. How can you replace the best? Jennifer replied, which made me feel nauseous. I know no one will believe it, but this is what I did without realizing it. I replaced Jen with Ashley, and I'm so embarrassed. Jen, I started, but she shook her head and kissed me. I felt salty tears, but I didn't know who they were. It was an amazing kiss, full of love and hope, that seemed to hit all the right places for me. She then looked at me and stroked my face before pulling my head towards her and hugging me tightly. We stayed like that for a while, and it was incredible. When I woke up the next morning, I can honestly say I felt refreshed. No, we didn't sleep together, and no, Jen didn't stay the night, but we made a promise to be there for each other no matter the circumstances. I finally felt like I was starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I still had a long way to go. It would take time to get over what Ashley and Heinrich had done, but now I felt like I was on solid ground and had a chance to make it through. My family has been so supportive and helped me realize that I still have value. Who knows what the future will bring? 12 months. That's how long it's been since I got my life back on track. I pretty much spent all my free time with Jen and the kids at her house or mine. We cook and have dinner together, spend weekends doing things, traveling, and generally having a good time. Victoria's 21st birthday was a big deal, and we partied the night away. It was the first time since our divorce that I woke up next to Jen, both of us falling asleep on the couch. There were changes between Jennifer and I, which was good. The spark between us reignited as she gave me knowing glances from time to time, and I did the same in return. Everything was going so well that the children noticed and planned something. Yes, even Danny was excited about it, which meant it had to be good. I arrived with Jacqueline at Jennifer's house and waited with Jen as the kids walked in with big smiles. Victoria was the clear leader, and although she was now 21, she was still my little girl. I felt as if I had been transported back in time for a moment. It was surreal, but I quickly returned to the present. Okay, what's going on here? Looks like someone is up to something, I said, looking at them before looking at Danny, my friend who could tell me everything. Okay, Danny, tell me. Dad? I can't. Victoria said she would kill me, Danny said with a smile and a nod. Always straightforward. That's why I loved him so much. Okay, Victoria Carmel Jennifer Pounder. What's going on? Jennifer asked with a motherly tone, although she was smiling. I wondered if she knew about it too. Relax, Mom. Nothing's wrong, Victoria answered with a laugh. We all know that you and Dad get along very well, so we thought it would help. You two should spend the weekend at the lake house. That's all. Are we together? One-on-one? Jennifer asked, looking worried. I don't think your father... I interrupted before she could continue. Sounds like a great idea. Would you like to go on a boat to sunbathe, swim, and relax? I asked, causing Jennifer's mouth to drop slightly before she looked at me and smiled. I couldn't help it. I was really starting to want Jennifer more and more, and seeing her in a swimsuit, well, I'm a guy, so I'm sure you can understand that. Are you serious? Jennifer asked, looking straight at me. Why not? That would be fun, don't you think? I replied before nodding to the kids. That would be nice, Dad, Jacqueline said as she approached me. Don't worry about Danny, we'll have a lot of fun, right, Danny P? That's right, JP, we don't need them, Danny said before grinning with his teeth. Looks like everything is settled then, Jacob said happily. I had a feeling that he also wanted us to get back together, but he never said it. I turned to my ex-wife, who looked a little worried. Jen? I asked, which brought her attention back to me. What do you think? Are you sure? Jennifer answered nervously. Yeah, why not? What do we have to lose? I asked, looking into her eyes. They were full of hope and fear, and I saw that hope was winning. Well, I'll just go pack my things then, Jennifer replied, flashing me a bright smile before walking past the kids and into the bedrooms. I saw Victoria wink and shook my head at her, making her laugh. A moment later, Jennifer was carrying a suitcase with a small bag hanging over her shoulder. This was one of those versatile bags that felt like a bottomless pit, even when it didn't look all that full. We went to my house, I grabbed some clothes, and we made the 3-hour drive to the lake house. We held hands most of the way, sharing idle chatter, but overall enjoying each other's company. We have always managed to do this, to be in each other's presence. It was as if we were teenagers on our first adventure, and sexual tension had built up between us over the course of the long journey. We stopped at a lake house and went inside, and Jen only took her bag with her. I wanted to grab her and kiss her, but I resisted. I had a feeling Jen wanted it too, but I tried to play it cool. I opened the curtains so we could see the water, and Jen stood next to me, setting down her bag. "I've always loved it here," Jennifer said with a contented sigh. "Me too," I said, taking her hand. She looked at me and leaned in for a kiss, which, by the way, was beautiful. It was too much, and I felt like her kiss had sent me over the edge. I just couldn't hold it in anymore. She walked back to the bedroom, but I quickly grabbed her and pulled her towards me for another kiss. I'm not sure if it was the atmosphere, the calmness of the lake, or just the fact that we had been dancing around each other for a while, but I needed her. Jennifer melted into me and kissed me passionately. "My God, I've been waiting for this for so long." "I missed you, my love," Jennifer said, stroking my cheek before kissing my lips. "Me too," I said. "Does this mean we are going to try again? You and me?" I looked into her eyes and saw sincerity. "I would, if you want to," I said, which made her smile and nod. She wiped away the tears that were forming and slowly pulled away from me so we could talk. "I would really like this. A new beginning with you," Jennifer said happily. "As long as we always be honest with each other, no matter how painful it is." "Fine?" I nodded in agreement. "No secrets, just open and honest communication," I said, to which Jen also nodded. "What came of it? I was able to get through this tragedy with the love and support of my family. I'm 51 now, Jennifer too, but she doesn't look over 40, and she says I don't either. I don't know how true this is, but we try to stay fit and live the best life we can. Victoria married a wonderful guy, and they are happy doing their own thing. Jacob is still single, but he works as a lawyer, so he doesn't have much time for his personal life right now. Law firms seem to be gobbling them up as quickly as the weather changes, so we'll see if he works for himself or not. Danny, my best friend, this is the most amazing thing. He meets a beautiful young woman with Down syndrome, and they are both in love. We support him as much as we can, but we also try to give him independence. He lives nearby and often comes home for dinner or whenever he feels like it. As for Jacqueline, our little angel will graduate from high school soon. She has grown into a wonderful young woman, and we couldn't be prouder of her. I think she's going to break more than one heart if she's not careful, but she wants to be a nurse. So we'll see what happens. Jen and I got married again. Yes, you can call me a fool and every other word under the sun, but we have put the past behind us and are stronger for it. I just retired 6 months ago, while Jen retired 3 years ago. Today we are at the lake house, on a boat in the middle of summer, awaiting the arrival of our guests. Marianne Summerson and her husband, Rob, have become good friends of ours, and we have a lot in common. After all, we are in the same age group as our other friends, Mike and Sarah Parrish. We will all spend the day at the lake, enjoying the sun and each other's company, having fun splashing around in the water and on the shore. So, we can say that this is a new chapter in our lives, full of joy and happiness, which is much different from where it all began. I feel sad for Ashley sometimes, mostly because of the good memories we had, but there is also a part of me that wishes I could have closure. It was the easy way out and left a mess behind. As I said at the beginning, people are a spectrum of colors. Jen and I fit together because we're similar shades of the rainbow. We adore each other and don't take us or our relationship for granted. It took us a while to rebuild everything, but now it's coming from a different place, a more stable and mature one. We are constantly working to be better versions of ourselves, which impacts our relationships. I appreciate every day I have, and so do as she. Although Henry turned my life upside down, his darkness allowed me to see the light of my life. I won't thank him for this because even in hell he doesn't deserve it, but I recognize the gift he gave me. A life worth living in the best way I can, with the best partner by my side. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.